Hello and welcome back to the 19th hole. We are live on In Between Media. Make sure you like and subscribe this video and the In Between Media YouTube page. We are as hot as it gets coming off the Players Championship. I took my victory laps at the Arnold Palmer. This week, we're going to pay homage to a wonderful week to Conor Coughlin. We're headed into Valspar, the last leg of the Florida swing in Tampa, Florida. Not much going on there golf-wise except for the Copperhead course at Innisbrook. That's a brutal one. Got the Snake Pit this week. Let's dial it up. 19th hole. Party on. We're gonna roll it on thick this week since Valspar is a paint brand. I just think Valspar just sounds like something to do with the snake, and then we're at the Copperhead course at Innisbrook. They got the Snake Pit, and Valspar. I'm like thinking like Viper Valspar. Like no, it's just paint.
A lot less threatening.
A lot less threatening than a snake, but the Snake Pit 15, 16, 17 at Innisbrook. This course is actually really tough. It's in the top 10 of the toughest courses on tour. The last two winners were both Sam Burns, but he was 17 under par. But then like 8 of the last 10 were single digits under par.
Yeah, it's like Paul Casey, I think, before Sam Burns. I think he did first year he got like 9 under. Second time he back-to-backed it, I think it was 10 under. And I think we're probably closer to that this week. Like the weather's supposed to be kind of not so great. So
Tampa, Florida weather is notoriously terrible. But let's talk about last week, the Players Championship, what many consider to be the fifth major elevated tour event this year with a $4.5 million top prize. Your boy Scotty Scheffler. I liked Scotty Scheffler last week. I just didn't love him enough of it at his odds. So excellent call there on Scotty Scheffler. You played a lot of him, looked good, beat the crap out of me in the head-to-head because I loaded up on Jon Rahm thinking he was going to be a great buy low after not winning for the first time ever. And it just seems like if Rahm doesn't win, it's going to be Scotty Scheffler because these two guys are the two best in the world. Obviously it was my first burn of the season where you get a guy that just completely withdraws from the tournament. Of course, he caught an illness in the middle after the first round. So yeah, I was screwed either way. Like once Rahm withdrew, I had no chance to cash anywhere.
Yeah, I think that was the first time this year that you've had that only one of us had like a mid-tournament withdrawal. Like we had that earlier
last year.
We've had it where we both had the same guy withdraw on us, but I mean, nonetheless, yeah. I mean, I think without Rahm in there, and then we both had Kitayama miss the cut, so I did. I mean, despite only having 5 of 6 through, I think I ended up just under 500, which was pretty all right for
amazing that the core of guys that I put in lineups that weren't named Jon Rahm. They all made the cut, but none of them were close to the top. So I had some 6 out of 6 lineups that didn't even cash. They weren't even close to cashing. And so I had all 6 guys scoring points all 4 days. And I look at the score and I'm like 438. And that's winning you $0 at anything, especially in the Mayo tournament where I was nowhere close to cashing with a 6 out of 6 lineup. And that's the flattest payout structure you're going to find on DraftKings. And I still wasn't even close with a 6 out of 6. I don't think I've ever had a successful week that didn't net any dollars like that. That was weird.
No, I spiked pretty good like Saturday morning. Like all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, like I literally sitting around like a 10x return and I just watched it like fade away into nothingness. Even with Scheffler, as much as I had him still.
I didn't get completely shut out. I had Max Homa top 5. I had Tom Hoagie top 20. So that was excellent on my call there, because I was big on Hoagie, and this dude goes out and breaks the course record at Sawgrass with a 62 on Saturday after making the cut on the number, which was suspended on Friday night. Like, they didn't finish the second round until early Saturday morning, and I didn't think the cut was going to make it to +2 because the weather was letting up on Saturday, but it just barely cracked to +2. Tom Hoagie didn't have to catch a flight, and he throws up a 62 to not only make the cut and get a good paycheck, but he made himself over $1 million with his Saturday Sunday finish, which was the lowest 36 hole total in the history of the Players Championship.
My wonderful dog has decided to chime in. Obviously, he's a big Tom Hoagie fan. So
yes, Hoagie.
So
we are all big Hoagie fans.
Let you talk for another minute more while he airs it out here, so that everybody doesn't have to listen.
Let's officially hit the spin it back, so that you can give your dog some time to chill out, and then you can take your very nice long victory lap. As we mentioned before, Connor successfully predicted the outright winner. He was on Scotty Scheffler the entire week. We even couldn't find a high enough resolution picture of Kurt Kitayama to celebrate the Arnold Palmer win. So we ended up putting Scotty Scheffler, that week's favorite, on the artwork for the thumbnail. And lo and behold, he not only wins the tournament, but dominates the tournament. Unbelievable performance on Sunday, especially to just put the whole thing to rest. Nail in the coffin early, chipped in, started a 5 birdie streak. Absolutely phenomenal golf. I don't think I've seen sharper golf at Sawgrass in a really long time, especially from a guy in the lead with all the pressure. Everybody's trying to catch him, and he completely just stomped on them. It was no contest. So, Connor, how do you feel about Scotty Scheffler?
It was just like I said, when Scotty's hot, which he was, sometimes you don't have to be able to shape every shot in the game. You don't have to, necessarily fit the course perfectly. Scotty's hitting to everything he's looking at, and the only thing that I maybe would have done different last week is actually bet the outright on him. We thought the number was just a little bit too short, but we loved him in DFS, so. He's looking phenomenal. And I really, really like him coming up at the Masters too. Like, he's just in that just unshakable form. So that's a number that I would run out and grab. I think when I posted my article on Friday, I think he was still hanging around plus 1,200, which I think is, good luck probably finding that number now, but that Scotty just looks fantastic. And as far as those top tier guys go, I don't know that anybody can catch Scotty right now.
And we've talked about course comps before. And I should have played more Scotty in retrospect, because Scotty matches up with Augusta National perfectly. That's obviously why he won the Masters last year, pretty much going away like he did the Players this year. And the closest comp to Augusta National on the main tour is Sawgrass, where you have to plan your shots accordingly, where he's hitting left to right cuts all day, but he's hitting it in places where nobody else dares. A lot of these guys were hitting less than driver off the tee. He was hitting driver off almost every tee, putting himself in shorter approach clubs, and he gained 17 strokes from tee to green on the field over the week. So it didn't matter that his putting was off, because he was so much closer than everybody else from tee to green and in proximity on approach, because I think he lost strokes to the field putting, but it didn't matter. He was just so good everywhere else that there was nobody who was going to catch him, because nobody else was really taking the risks and hitting the golf shots that he was.
Well, you said it too when I was kind of campaigning him last week. Is Scotty's an aggressive player. He goes out, and he's the guy that you want in the hunt, in the run, and he just continues to show that he's just
number one
aggressive.
in the world.
He's ridiculous. And the thing we've said about him a couple of weeks in a row is the putting is a little bit concerning, but it's really hasn't impacted him enough for him to lose. So
he won easily despite losing strokes. That should tell you everything you need to know about the rest of his game.
I mean, I would have personally, I would have liked to have seen a couple of the big dogs up there really fighting it out with him. I think that would have been nice. But, Rory, like we talked about, which was hard for me to say, but I was pretty much a fade on Rory last week. And thankful I did it. Missing the cuts, kind of crazy. And John Rahm, who we liked better because of the number, but as we broke down some of the holes in his game, I mean, I didn't think he was looking phenomenal before the withdrawal. So, I think we played the right guy up top there, and there were a couple of complimentary guys we had right there. Also in the top 10, you had Tom Hoagie, who was top 3. Sung Jae was a T6.
Sung Jae was one of our consensus picks. Tom Kim made the cut, didn't make enough noise, wasn't making that was kind of what I had against him, was maybe he doesn't make enough birdies down the stretch to really keep it close.
Well, I think with Tom, I think with Tom Kim, the bigger issue actually proved to be the lack of distance coupled with the rough. He doesn't have the distance or really, to be honest, the power to play from some of those cuts that he was finding himself in. Yeah. So
he had to be on, and he wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, he was going to have to be pinpoint accurate, and with some of the weather and things like that, we probably could have been a little more out on Tom Kim. There were probably a lot of signs to say that maybe it wasn't the best fit for him. But you were big on Homa. Homa was a T6. Justin Suh, who I'm huge on this week, was a T6. Hadwin, T13. Jason Day, T19.
Davis Riley. Do we want to talk about Davis Riley since we're sitting it back? Because I'm sad. We both played Davis Riley, and this dude shoots a 29 or 30 going out on Thursday. He's 5 under par, right around the lead, and he subsequently starts out 5 under par and misses the cut by a mile, because as soon as I said, "Damn, Davis Riley's hot," and I was excited, and you were excited. We're both excited about Davis Riley being hot, coming right out the gate, 5 under par. And he goes out and obliterates his scorecard over the next day and a half to miss the cut and not look good at all. So my bad for jinxing Davis Riley. I know you're pissed off at Davis Riley missing the cut. I'm pissed off he missed the cut because we're both on him. And he played like absolute garbage after starting 5 under par. What are we supposed to do about that? Kiss of death.
So not only did you curse Davis Riley, but you also absolutely talked me out of and reverse cursed Minwoo Lee. Minwoo Lee, I've been playing week in, week out, banging the drum.
Minwoo Lee didn't make you any money if you played him last week, though. He just looked really good the first 3 days. So in my defense, he still isn't ready.
I think he still shot 8 under for the tournament, which would have put him T6.
Not T6. No, he was.
That's what Sung Jae.
He backed into the tie with Homa.
Yep.
But he was up at 12 under par, and he shot a big number on Sunday. So yeah, unless you're saying, "Oh, I'm really, really ecstatic about a top 10 payout," then yeah, you can miss me with that Minwoo Lee. He's still not ready because he can't put it together for 4 rounds yet. He's getting damn close though. I love this guy's game. He's a bomber. He's like this big. He's as big as my index finger, but that dude can rip the ball.
I think he had something like 170 or 180 mile an hour ball speed. He's driving the ball like 320, and he's like not. I mean, there's nothing to the guy.
He has a 19-degree utility driving iron that he hit on 18 on the first day, and he hit it 296. Hitting a stinger 296 with a hybrid club. Like, that's insane ball speed.
Well, I'll say this: Minwoo's got himself into the top 50. We'll see him.
He's ready.
We'll see him at Augusta, and
that's going to be fun.
And judging by the correlation of this course to Augusta, if anybody believes in some of my calls, maybe run out and grab yourself a Minwoo number.
I'm gonna take some top 20, top 10 stabs at him at Augusta for sure. All right, so. Well, are you ready for some club twirls? You want to talk about What are you drinking tonight before we hit that drop? I don't deserve, after my showing last week, I don't deserve anything other than Tom Hoagie said that I should have some Mountain Dew. So I'm going to drink some Mountain Dew. And then Max Homa is an iced coffee guy, so I'm going to drink some iced coffee.
If you want, I still got some of that Windsor Canadian in the plastic jug and get you set up.
You can't even drop it to get rid of it. It bounces right back in. Oh, Blender Dog. There you go.
Yeah. So
Irish.
Can't get this bottle anymore. In honor of St. Patty's Day, I'm breaking out a couple swigs of this. And this is absolutely one of my favorite distiller series from Jameson. Like I said, you can't get it.
You drink enough Mountain Dew and your piss is green. So that'll be my St. Patty's Day.
Look how clear this stuff is, though. I mean, it's definitely
it's not aged very long. I think it's a minimum age product, but it's actually pretty damn good.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's definitely one of the better whiskeys from the distillery there. So
I still love Black Barrel. Have you had Black Barrel?
I've got some Black Barrel up there for sure. I do like Black Barrel too.
That's some good stuff,
especially for the price. Cheap.
Molasses, good molasses taste to it.
Well, enjoy your Mountain Dew.
I'm trying. I don't deserve any whiskey this week after Homa and Hoagie broke me even. I'm not gonna. I took a bath on DFS thanks to John Rahm. Come on, John Rahm, gut it out or poop it out. I don't know what you needed to do last week to stay in the tournament to help me out a little bit, but
I think we need to get like a dry erase board behind you too to start like tallying all of my wins, because at this point I think I'm like 5-1, 6-1.
Yeah.
5-1.
My DFS. I'm glad I haven't been as heavy on DFS as betting because it hasn't been pretty.
Oh,
however,
right. Maybe this
week I'm feeling pretty good because we got some value plays. Before you hit the drop, let's talk about Innisbrook, the Copperhead course, Tampa, Florida. Par 71, 7,300 yards and change. Take it from there.
So depending on where you read, where you get your information, it's about 7,300 and some change. Par 71. Greens are Bermuda. There is some POA throughout. I think it's an overseed of one of the POA types. That's kind of the thing that's a little sketchy, a little dicey, depending on where you get your information from. There are plenty of bunkers here. Almost every green is guarded, greenside with bunkers. Pretty good amount of wood lying around here as well. Got plenty of trees. It's
always what I'm looking for when I'm playing golf is I find every tree on the course and I hit it. I hit every tree on every golf course I play. So Innisbrook would be fun for me because I'd just be like making Louisville Slugger baseball sounds all day.
Just lumberjacking. Let's see. There is a fair amount of water kind of littered around the course. It's not necessarily in play on a lot of holes, at least not unless you're hitting some really bad shots. But there is some water to be worried about. Most of the approach shots are going to be pretty long, though, and that's actually what makes these greens kind of difficult to hit. You're going to be most of these guys, especially with some of the landing areas they're going for, are going to be coming in from around 200 plus on a lot of these approach shots. So that's something to think about. You're going to want some guys that have some good around the green game. Might even want some guys that have a good sand game. Like I said, there's a lot of sand guarding the hole. Bo talked about it. You got one of the toughest three-hole stretches on the tour with the Snake Pit, the par 4 16th, the par 3 17th, and the par 4 18th. And of course, right at the end of the round for some of these guys. So just a really nice way to come home. And then, like I said, the weather is looking kind of shitty, to be honest. Thursday is probably going to be your only decent day. Right now, they're forecasting around 17 to 20 mile an hour winds. And then you're going to be overcast, a little bit moist, and around 20 mile per hour winds for the rest of the tournament. So I don't think we're going to be seeing any 17 unders this year. I'm guessing it's going to be a lot closer to those Paul Casey numbers, probably more like 12 to 14, just because
except for Scotty, we nailed it last week. I said 11 to 15 and he was at 15, but he was at 16 forever until he had that little hiccup on the back nine, but it was just like domination. Everybody else was clustered in at 10, 11. So it was, I mean, we're nailing these final scores, and we're nailing the outright winners every week. Every week we're nailing an outright winner.
Oh, for sure. And I think
thank you for joining us, guys, and you're welcome for the money.
And I don't think I think prediction of the final score in a lot of ways is one of the more overlooked things that a lot of people just don't get into, and it does help to kind of paint the story or paint the picture, tell the story of the guys that you want in contention, just guys that are going to be able to shoot these scores, be consistent, not give strokes back. So it's like I said, I would guess we do have a little better field. So maybe 12 to 14 is where we're going to land this year. But anywhere between
it's my 7 to 10 for me. 7 to 10.
I think we'll see over 10 for sure, but we'll see. I mean, we're not gonna, like I said, we're not gonna have even last week's scoring. So I'm definitely saying sub 14, sub 13, somewhere in there.
I'll spread it to 7 to 11. 7 to 11 is my prediction.
I like that spread. We can roll.
It's gonna take a grinded out performance. This course is gonna be brutal in the wind. Some of these par fours are going to be almost par 5 lengthwise into the wind. Thick rough. Bermuda rough is nasty as it is. The ball tends to sit down, or you catch a flyer lie, and then you have no control over the spin coming into these greens that are surrounded by nasty bunkers. I think there's going to be enough double bogeys to augment the birdie holes. So I'll say 7 to 11. Let's hit the drop once and for all. We're going to do some club twirling and betting on golf. I'm looking at these lines on DraftKings Sportsbook. That's where I get most of my lines. Valspar Championship at Innisbrook, the Copperhead course. Your outright betting favorites tied: Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. You mentioned bunker play and around the green. There's nobody better in the world than those two guys, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Your two best short games in this field, pretty much by far. And then you have Matt Fitzpatrick somehow at 14 to 1. Get out of here. And then Sam Burns has won this tournament 2 years in a row, and he's getting no respect at plus 1,800. Although he's played pretty poorly this season to date. Maybe this is his get right, going for a three-peat. Anybody below 20 to 1 that you're betting on, Connor?
In a nutshell, no. Burns.
Me neither. Me neither.
It's always a really scary proposition to fade Justin Thomas. And so
his approach game makes it easier on me, because this course is going to demand some good approach shots, and his approach game's been terrible.
Yeah, and I'm off JT all the way around this week. So I'm gonna kind of stick with my guns here. I don't think Spieth is in the form that you would need to win this tournament. You're not going to get a good enough T5, T10 number on him. So what's the point? Fitzpatrick's approach game is meh. He's picked up some distance, which I think helps him on some courses, but not necessarily here. I mean, he's not doing anything. It seems like Netflix debuted his part on his show, and he just all of a sudden forgot how to play golf. Must be busy signing autographs or something. And
he's
I don't like
chipping cross-handed, so you can't take him seriously.
And I don't like the guy to begin with. Like, and we know, if you watched our show last year, I vehemently will not play him. But so yeah, Sam Burns would probably be the only one in that group. And strangely, like, I didn't think Sam Burns was playing all that well, but I looked at some of his trends, and we can talk about it more in DFS. He is trending up in a lot of strokes gain categories. So Sam Burns, depending on where you can get him, I'm seeing him anywhere 16 to 18. And I think that's a pretty good number on a two-time defending champion. So
if you're just basing on course history alone, that's enough for a lot of people to throw some money at Sam Burns to make a three-peat on this course. Let's get our first big argument out of the way. I kind of really like 20 to 1 Justin Rose here. Very accurate player, an amazing long iron approach player, models extremely well. You're just saying you're not going to play him because you don't like him. I think that the stats line up for me. The course lines up to his game really well. He already showed that he can win this year at Pebble Beach. I was mad at myself for ignoring him in my model at Pebble Beach when he was like 6th or 7th in the field in my model, and still I ignored it and didn't play him, and he ended up winning the damn thing. So I'll play some Justin Rose at 20-1, even though that's not the best odds that you can get. I'm sure you can get better odds on him somewhere else. Are you mad at the number, or you just hate him?
I mean, both. Okay, yeah, he won at Pebble. Great, wonderful. That's great.
He was also 6th last week. He was in that group with Homa.
He also rates out 48 for me when I build my strokes game model. He's not very good off the tee. He's ranking 99th over the last 36 rounds, regardless of how he's finishing. And he's also 109th in this field over the last 36 rounds and around the green game. This course is going to require good around the green game. And on top of that, like, Justin Rose to me is one of the more polarizing things that you can bet or play in DFS, because there's no in between. He's either going to finish in the top 5 or he's going to be DFL, and you're going to get no points. You're going to get none of your money back on betting. Like, yeah, Justin Rose is just a do not play for me.
Damn.
I have a few stances. That's one of them. I just don't touch Justin Rose.
Well, for all of you betting along that are going to combine our lineups, that's going to be the tipping point where if you're building a betting slip or building a DFS lineup, I am very pro Justin Rose this week, and Connor is very anti. So take that for what it's worth. We're both been pretty good at picking winners this year, but we've also had some clear misses. Not very often where we've been completely polar opposite ends of the spectrum on a guy. Usually they end up kind of in the middle and we don't really fight after that. Kitayama, you weren't really hot on at the Arnold Palmer, but that's a 250-1. I can't blame you for that. A 20-1 guy that you're off of, that I'll pay attention to that.
Yeah, there's guys right there that I like significantly better that for me on the stats that I'm looking at rate out way, way better. Wyndham Clark and Justin Suh at plus 3,500.
Okay.
And Adam Hadwin.
Wyndham Clark in the trash for all I care.
This is an awesome.
Justin Suh, I'm all 100% in agreement with you.
This is going to
be. Wyndham Clark needs to go in the trash can.
It's a good fit for Wyndham Clark, and he's in form. So I'm just. All right, and then Adam Hadwin.
This is not Hilton Head.
Oh, whatever, man. And then Adam Hadwin, who has won here before,
yes.
also has a miscut here, but at 20 plus 2,500.
Adam Hadwin here.
Yeah. And like I said, this is a dude that we were on last week, who was in good form, continues to be in good form, has played well here, has the type of game we're looking for here. It just lines up. In my opinion,
25 for him is too steep for a lot of people, including me. Like DFS wise, though, I love Adam Hadwin.
Dude, I think Adam Hadwin is every bit the player that Justin Rose is, if not better. Justin Rose 5-10 years ago, sure. Justin Rose when he was the world number 1, absolutely. That is not who Justin Rose is anymore, and I don't think he's got that much of a skill set different than Adam Hadwin.
I want to talk more about Justin Suh.
Well, feel free, knock yourself out.
I just love the way he's playing right now. The guy is on fire. He looks good on Bermuda. He puts the daylights out. He's accurate player with good length, and he puts the lights out. That seems like the perfect fit for this course. I know you agree with me on that. He just seems to be top 10 in all the things I'm looking at, which makes him in the top 10 of my model out of everybody in this field. And 35-1 seems a little bit expensive for him. I think I've seen him up as high as 50-1 at other books. So if you can get a better line than 35-1, then do it. But I'm thinking 35 is about as low as I'll go on him. But I'm all in on his ability to make this his first PGA Tour win. And he's best friends with Kurt Kitayama. They're best buds. So,
well, and he's part of that whole crew, like the Colin Morikawa gang and all those guys too. So I mean, yeah, Justin Suh is probably the one guy out of the whole kind of group that came out together same type of year that maybe just hasn't really recognized his full potential yet. And he's starting to really, really show up. I mean, number 5 at the Honda, 24 at the API, and then 6 at the Players. And he's, I mean, gaining strokes week on week in almost every category, in kind of ridiculous amounts. Like tee to green, he gained 7 strokes last week.
And he's not that accurate off the tee, which is amazing to me because he's missing fairways and it doesn't even matter. His proximity out of the rough is off the charts.
And even when he lost strokes off the tee, though, like at API, he lost almost 2.5 strokes off the tee. It still was offset by his excellent approach game, and he's got a pretty stout putter on him. He might have lost 2.5 off the tee at API, but that was the last time he lost strokes off the tee. And he counterbalanced that with 4.3 strokes gained on the putting greens at API, which was not necessarily easy sledding. So.
No. Yeah, I'm all about that guy this week. And maybe he's this year's Gary Woodland, who won way back in the day at this tournament as a very young golfer. I think he was a PGA Tour rookie when he won here. This kind of course that lines up for Woodland. I'm not exactly on Woodland at 40-1 because he's getting kind of that no value added prior champion number here. Like if Gary Woodland was 60-1, I might consider it, but 40-1 for a guy that's playing pretty badly right now, I'm not going to do that. Are you?
40-1, no. I do have a lot of interest in DFS with him. Probably talked about that a little bit more. He did rate out actually surprisingly well for me the way I built. But yeah, 40-1 seems really, really short for what is kind of a shell of Gary Woodland at this second. Yeah. I don't see him winning. If you could get a decent like top 10 number on him, maybe, but at 40-1, you're really not going to find a good number on a top 10. So
now his top 10's plus 400, so 4-1. I don't think that's even good enough either.
No, it's not worth it. I don't think.
Who is worth it at that sort of number is Ben Griffin. How about one of the most consistent performers on the PGA Tour this season of anybody? Ben Griffin's showing up on leaderboards every single week. And this is the type of tournament where we can see Ben Griffin straighten out his driver a little bit and make some noise because he's really just so consistent, playing out of his mind right now. And people are starting to pay attention. Plus 4,500 outright. I love his plus 450 top 10 because this guy's been hanging around top 10s all season long.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I mean, Ben Griffin's somebody that we talk about almost every week, and we'll talk about his stats a little more in DFS because he's going to be one of the main building blocks for me this week. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say. The thing I do like about this course for Ben Griffin is he typically loses strokes off the tee right now. At least that's the trend over the last 36. You put less than driver in his hand, though, and maybe we can get some long irons or, even some woods that he's got a little more control over. And then the nice thing about that is, like we talked about with a lot of the key approaches being 200 plus yards, Ben Griffin is absolutely lights out from 200 plus on approach. So I like this as a good fit for him just to, take the driver out of his hand, lay up to a nice spot, make your approach, get in and out. Yeah. And really nothing to say. That's a good number.
All right. Anybody between 50 and 100-1 that you're on?
Robbie Shelton is somebody I like at 90-1.
Okay.
Kind of similar reasoning to what we just talked about with Ben Griffin. He's kind of like a Ben Griffin light.
Yikes.
But he's been playing well too. So, I think you and I are both in agreement. We've talked a lot about it, that this is going to be kind of a first time winners type of tournament, I think. And there's really no reason that he can't be in the ring boxing with some of these lesser known guys.
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit there. He popped up on my model too. Maybe for DFS, I'll give him a few runs. He'll be in the player pool for sure at his DFS price. I'm going to go all the way down to plus 110 to 1 Pearson Cootie. I'm going to keep riding the guy because he's hot as hell, and he's got an all-around game. And I had to dig deep for his stats because he's only played in 2 events on the PGA Tour. He's a Korn Ferry Tour winner. If he performs well enough here, he can do the same thing that Akshay Bhatia did at the Puerto Rico Open and earn his card with a good finish here because he's got 2 PGA Tour events, both in Florida, and he's made the cut in both of them and finished top in 14th place at the Arnold Palmer. That was when I predicted him at 6,100 to be a great DFS value. Cha-ching. Pearson Coody back in action at a course that demands sort of the same thing as Bay Hill does. Maybe not the same type of layout, but you need strong approach with your mid and long irons here. And Pearson Coody has all the chops, and especially around the green. We've seen this guy chip in from everywhere his first 2 tournaments on the PGA Tour this season. He kind of reminds me of a little bit of Jordan Spieth back in the day when Jordan was winning tournaments by sheer scrambling ability. Give me a little bit of Pearson Coody at plus 110, because you never know what he can do if you get him on a run. I think he can score.
I feel a lot about him the way you feel about Minwoo Lee, and he has a lot less the pedigree.
For sure.
So while I see your similarities to him and Spieth, Coody's one of those players that you look at that is on a great streak right now, but eventually that bubble is going to burst. Yeah, and I think we're going to have a long string of miscuts and subpar performances from him. But he is a player that I'm really excited to watch, and I want to see how he like kind of comes into his own. It's a great number. I mean, really, for a guy playing as well as he's playing. I just don't know that I want to be left holding the ticket when the bubble pops, which could be any time now. I'd much rather go up 10 points to Akshay Bhatia at 120.
I might have 130.
Yeah, and you can definitely get him at 130 in some spots. I think DK was where I pulled that number from.
Yep, it's moved in our favor to 130 as of right now.
Just playing excellent golf, and he's
it's money.
Yeah,
he's so good.
I'm super excited about him. And not that I wasn't, and you were too. We both got on him a little bit last season, even in a couple of appearances where you just watch him play, and he's good. He's really good, and a lot of what he does seems almost effortless. And
he does not need to wear a full wardrobe to score well. I mean, he stripped down 3 different times at the Honda. Doesn't matter. The dude's a gamer. He earned his PGA Tour card a couple weeks ago at the Puerto Rico Open. 130 to 1 outright. I don't know. Just throw a few dollars on Akshay Bhatia. He's plus 1,100 for top 10 and plus 700 top 20. That's almost free money. I think this guy's going to come out hot. He's going to make some birdies. He's an extremely accurate player with length and an excellent short game. I really think that he's got the type of game where we're like, hey, welcome to PGA Tour, and there he is. I don't think that you're gonna have to worry about him going through much of a curve as a PGA Tour rookie getting his first win. I don't think he's gonna have to wait that long with his game.
No, and he's a guy that 100% is going to be there week on week too once he gets rolling, because he's got a really stellar all around game.
And I have a soft spot for lefties anyway, because
I got one way down there.
Is it Nico? Because I hope you say Nico. I'm on Nico too.
I do like Nico, but that's not the one I've got.
Okay.
I've got John Vanderlaan at plus 250 to 1.
Vanderlaan Industries. Import export.
Yeah. So
he's an importer exporter.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever that means. No, so I've kind of gotten out of the habit of throwing some deeper shots on people that maybe are lesser known. And so I did a little research on this guy. Goes to Southern Florida College. He's got 3 consecutive made cuts right now.
Even his alma mater sounds made up.
But what isn't made up is he had a T7 at Puerto Rico. He's a 4-time All-American with 11 collegiate wins. I mean, the guy is actually a real golfer. And that T7 at Puerto Rico kind of got my attention. Gained strokes in a lot of the metrics we're looking at this week. So John Vanderlaan at 250 to 1. And you can get some decent numbers.
That number sounds familiar. It sounds familiar, that number. I'll toot the horn for your guy, the Colombian, Nico Echeverria. He won that Puerto Rico Open over Akshay Bhatia, over Vanderlaan, who sounds like a made-up person. But Nico, he's only making about a third of his cuts on the PGA Tour. Like that was kind of his speech when he won Puerto Rico, was how many cuts he had missed in a row and how he was kind of down the dumps. And then he just hit his stride and scored like crazy. This guy, if he makes the cut, has the 6th best weekend scoring average on the PGA Tour. So if he's on his game, he's really on his game. So if you think if Nico makes the cut, his 300-1 number is going to be really impressive.
Yeah, no, and the only thing that worries me, and I think this ties in with a couple of guys we've already talked about, is his off the tee game is not
Very
fantastical. So with less than driver in his hand, I think the rest of his game lines up really nice here, and that's a great number on a guy who literally just won.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so no argument for me on that one.
All right, well, I would hate to slam my trunk for the 2nd week in a row. Let's do the drop, get into our DFS segment. No trunk slams.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling slam.
No trunk slams. Well, technically, I didn't have any trunk slams because all my guys made the cut, but I didn't win, so I stayed all weekend just for nothing. So no trunk slams. You don't want to slam our trunks on Friday night when our guys miss the cut. DFS. The goal is 6 out of 6 most times. I think we're back to normal this week though, with the kind of a mediocre field instead of getting 6 out of 6 last week and getting nothing to show for it. I think if you get 6 out of 6 this week, you're going to be in the money pretty easily.
Yeah, I think last week, just a lot of carnage. I mean, a lot of the guys that you got through didn't end up doing much on the weekend. A lot of the guys that kind of rallied even to get to the weekend didn't end up doing a ton over the weekend. So, it was a weird situation where DK points just didn't end up getting generated by these guys, which happens. Sometimes the DK result doesn't match the scorecards.
So the same 4 guys that we're betting on at short odds are the 4 guys that are 10,000 or above on DraftKings. Anybody who would like to play in DFS at that foursome at the top? Burns, Chalk City on Burns.
So I'll have some Burns, but I'm going to be really limited in my exposure up top. I'm going to build really balanced lineups using lesser known guys. I just don't trust these top 4. I just really don't. Like, they're not doing anything right this second to warrant paying 10 plus K for each of them. So yeah, it's just not, but Burns would be the one.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be really chalky because of basically what he's done the last 2 years is dominate here. So
I keep fat fingering all my tabs on my research, so I just closed the ownership. I was trying to get that open for you so I could tell you what he is, because that was going to be one of the big deterrents for me is the ownership up there, which to be honest, you're probably spot on if I can find it.
I would say 22-23% would be my guess.
I think Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth will be ridiculous, especially once public money gets in there.
Yeah, I like this 9K group a lot more, just like you do. I know you hate Rose, but 9,600. The only concern I have in DFS is that if we get some of these other big name analysts, like Pat Mayo, mentioning Justin Rose this week, that we're going to see too much chalk on a guy that I like betting on, but don't necessarily have
projected.
23 for Burns or for Rose?
For Rose. Burns, actually, believe it or not, is way down there.
Oh, that's excellent.
11.2 on Burns.
Shh. Let's keep it that way. We'll play him in DFS. Rose getting way too much chalk for my liking in DFS. You can bet him. I will not play Justin Rose in DFS at 23 or anything above 18%, to be honest. He's more of a 20-1 bet that I really would like to cash out, but DFS is all about leverage. So you have to know what game you're playing. Rose, yeah, that's way too much. I'd rather go down to maybe a Denny McCarthy, who's great around the greens. Adam Hadwin, 9,200. That's a spectacular price. I don't expect him to be very chalky because nobody chalks up Canadians ever.
I'll pull the Band-Aid off and tell you your top 5 chalk guys. All right, so Wyndham Clark is the number 1 projected at 25, 25.1.
Easy fade money.
Justin Rose, 23. Tommy Fleetwood, 21. Justin Sutt, 20.
Okay.
Adam Hadwin, 20.
Okay.
And then Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth are both at 18.8. But like I said, that number will pop up once you start getting public money in there.
So here's my rule is if I'm not completely in love with the guy and he's chalky, then it's a fade. If I'm in love with the guy and he's chalky, I'll still do it. So Justin Sutt at 20%, I'm still eating all that. I'm still eating all of that. Hadwin, I love at 9,200. That's just too good of a price. And there's too many great leverage plays down at the very bottom that we've already talked about that nobody's going to be on. Like I'm not worried about chalk on Hadwin and Suh if I'm going to be completely by myself on an island with some of these cheaper guys.
Yeah, and once you get down the board, like that's a nice thing about the ownership being so congregated around these 6-7 guys is once you go down the board, there's 144 other guys in this field that you're basically seeing at a max rostership of like 8%. So I don't think it's a huge deal to have a little bit of chalk up top. Now, that being said, I still do not like a Justin Rose at that percentage at that price. Like that's crazy.
It's high on both. That's like Snoop Dogg high on both numbers.
That's a cloud.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Wyndham Clark for me too. Like I really, really like Wyndham Clark this week. A lot of things line up.
Way too expensive and way too chalky. That's ridiculous.
25% owned Wyndham Clark is just a time bomb waiting to go off.
That's a dumb play.
Yeah. So
just
probably
you didn't have to tell me the ownership, but as soon as you said a 20 something, I was like, nope.
25%. That's wild, isn't it?
That's disgusting.
But yeah, so Burns in the 10K is going to be the play there. You already talked about Rose and Hadwin in the 9K. And
Griffin. I need to know Griffin's number.
It's actually not horrible.
15.
Justin Suh's the chalk that I wanted to talk about though a little bit. But yeah, Ben Griffin is 17%, which is fine. I think that's totally acceptable when building lineups. But yeah, Justin Suh sitting there at $8,900 is where actually I'm going to start a lot of lineups.
Oh man,
which is kind of wild, right?
All eights lineup.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be enough to make that 22% unique because some people are going to start up top and have Justin Suh be their second or
almost
even third.
Everyone is going to start at 9 or 10. Almost everyone.
I truly believe that this sets up perfectly for Justin Suh. He's trending correctly. Everything that the guy can do when he puts it all together makes perfect sense on this course. So at that price, I think it's a great jumping off point. And that also does allow me to have a couple of shots and not miss completely out on Wyndham Clark. Because starting with Justin Suh and going to Wyndham Clark ranks out 10th in my model over the last 36. So even though Wyndham Clark is somebody that historically gives me fits, he is playing really well, and this sets up really nicely for him. So I'm not going to be a full-on fade. So that's one way that I can get him into my lineups. But yeah, Justin Suh, I mean, what can we say? He's in the top 5 for par 4 scoring. He's in the top 15 for bogey avoidance. Off the tee game, he's pretty middle of the road, but we kind of talked about already, dialing it back a little bit and hitting some of these shorter layup areas, target areas. And then he's pretty damn good at those key 200 plus approach shots, which gets complemented by a solid around the green game. So he just really sets up well, and I'm not going to miss his first win, which could be here.
Very well said. Justin Suh, Ben Griffin, those are two guys that I have to have locked in.
Same.
Hadwin, I'll take some shots at. Pearson Cootie, I mean, we're going down pretty quick here, but there's Akshay Bhatia, 7,500, Cootie, 7,400. The sevens group is loaded with guys. Robbie Shelton, 7,500. These are all guys I really like in my model. Even Ludwig Aberg looks good to me at 7,700. I don't think very many people know who that guy is yet, but they're going to find out because the dude just keeps playing out of his mind.
He has been playing really well.
KH Lee, the Panda's back in play here. He's a DFS scoring machine. So if you get a Panda on the weekend, he can score. And that's the thing is I don't expect the Panda to win here, but if he makes the weekend, he's going to make a lot of DK points happen for you. He matches up really well with this kind of course because he's a great long iron player. It's just you get these certain courses that KH Lee just shows up and you're like, oh, there he is again.
Yeah, and KH Lee, I'm probably a little more out on him just because I don't necessarily know if this is going to be a scoring fest on the weekend. If he's just putting along at pars, I like him a lot better to your point where he can get birdies in bunches, and I don't know if that's possible here. It definitely historically has not really been possible here, but it's always a new day. The guy that actually rates out super, super well for me that you kind of blew right past, and probably for good reason, is Johnny Vegas at 7,700.
I couldn't do it.
Number 2 in my model.
Number two.
Yeah,
I think he was like 14th or 15th in mine, and I was like, you know what? No, it's not gonna happen. I played him once this year. It worked out. I'm not gonna hit on 17 here. I'm gonna stay and hope for the best. Play it safe by not doing the Johnny Vegas twice in one season because I'm 1 for 1. Why would you keep going on that?
I mean, I could probably talk you into it, but I'll just, for everybody else's sake, he is number 1 in this field over the last 36 rounds in strokes gained off the tee. He is number 9 in overall approach, number 4 in approach from 175 to 200 yards, number 15 in bogey avoidance, and number 18 in shots gained par 4. And he is in the top third of this field for sand saves and around the green game. $7,700, and he's sub 13% projected.
Okay. The only thing that's going to talk me back out of him now is if you tell me that Will Gordon is going to be less chalky.
I will get back to you on that.
Because right now I'm looking at a lineup with only one photo. One photo.
Isn't that all these guys, the most terrifying thing?
Yeah, so I have 5 American flags and a Adam Hadwin, who's Canadian, and he has a picture. But I have a lineup with Bhatia, Cootie, Gordon, Griffin, and so all American flags with no photo, and then Adam Hadwin, the Canadian, with the dapper photo.
I wish I could lift up my tablet to show you this, so you know I'm not bullshitting you. Johnny Vegas and Will Gordon are the exact same projected ownership, and not only overall projected ownership, but once the cards are all on the table, like calculated final ownership, they are identical.
I hate you. You're supposed to tell me that they're wildly different in ownership. And I know Vegas rates out slightly better, but I just like Will Gordon better this week. For whatever reason, I want to play him more. He's $200 cheaper. Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, at least statistically, what I'm looking at, I wouldn't say you're wrong. I would just say you're incorrect. You're not dead wrong, because Will Gordon over the same period is closer to 16th in my model, right? So you said Vegas is 14th in yours. I'm assuming that we're just flip-flopped on a couple of the same key stats on how we weighted them.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, in my mind, you're incorrect, but you're not wrong. So
I see what you're saying. It's semantics.
But I could make a case to play Will Gordon too. I like them both. And frankly, there are some lineups where I'm going to, just so I don't miss out on Sam Burns, I will need to be down here in the 7K. So those are 2 guys that I'll be targeting for those lineups.
Good call. Yeah, I mean, the guy in the sevens that we both love the most is Bhatia. 7,500 for him, averaging 75.6 DK points per tournament. That's excellent for that price range. Cannot miss this week. We're locking that one in. We believe in Bhatia. The dude's just next. He's next.
It's either him or Suh in my mind. Like, I really, really, really like those two. And I sent you that message earlier today. Like him, Bhatia, and Griffin are probably going to be like my three core, and I'll just kind of build around them.
That's what I got right in front of me. 5 American flags and a Hadwin.
Oh, God. It's gross, isn't it?
It's fun, though, because 9,200, then I got 89, 84, 75, 75, and 74. That's as balanced as you can probably get with guys that you love at all 6 spots.
What do you have left on the table? Like 400 or 500?
You want the real answer?
Yeah.
1,100 with that lineup.
I was trying to do quick math.
1,100 left. So I might go up from Gordon to a different lineup here. Like Gary Woodland's 86. I could fit him in. I could fit in Woo, Moore, Rye. I mean, the postman's in this tournament, but he doesn't score DK points. Panda's in that range. I might just do pivot off a different player just so I can get those high upside guys. Maybe I'd pivot off Cootie.
I've only done a few lineups, but one of them that's similar to what you just said. I've got Suh, Clark, Griffin, Shelton, Bhatia, and Eric Cole with 1,600 left on the table. So
maybe I just need to stick to my guns then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not bullshitting. I'm definitely like gonna.
It's not like I'm gonna go up to Bo Hostler or somebody stupid like that. It's like some of these prices and guys that are in certain ranges just don't belong there, and so you got to play the right plays. And if you're under the salary cap by whatever number it is, and you like your lineup, then stick with it. You don't have to be close to the salary cap limit. You just have to be under it.
Biggest mistake I make all the time is feeling like I should spend more of my salary. Sometimes you just do it blindly, play what you think is going to work. A couple more guys in the sevens, and then we do have a couple of 6 plays. So
we do.
Somebody who I could probably tell you I've legitimately never ever rostered in DFS is Lee Hodges, who rates out 12th in my modeling over the last 36. And the two key things that actually are getting me on him a little bit. He's 7th overall in approach, and he's 12th overall in that 200 plus yardage. And then he's actually in the top 30 for the scrambling and around the greens metrics as well. So surprisingly good trend that he's on. $7,100 is pretty nice.
That's really good. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Looking at this, it's getting really gross really quickly down here. Lee Hodges, my God. Mark Hubbard, great putter, decent short games, not playing great this year, but this feels like a Drew Lipsky tournament to me.
David
Lipsky, yeah. Why did I say Drew? Do I know a Drew Lipsky miss somewhere? Yeah, David Lipsky.
I've got him starred too. He was going to be my 7 flat. So go ahead.
There you go. No, you go ahead. I don't want to say too much about him. It's a gut call.
He's number 2 from that proximity is the biggest thing with him in the kind of trend that he's been on. He's managed to put up some good finishes this year. He's not. In actuality, I'm not going to find myself down here that frequently, so he may make 1 or 2 of my lineups, but overall, it would just be looking at his approach game because the rest of it's around the green game's decent. He's parts of it, he's in the top 10. Parts of it, if you look at like sand saves and scrambling, he's going to fall closer to the top 50. So, I mean, it's definitely a decent wedge in scrambling game that he's got, but I mean, nothing that I'm going to write home about. But his approach game is pretty stout. So.
All right. Yeah. That's about what I could say about him too. Sub 7. Nico.
So
Nico 6,800.
I don't have Nico, and it's because of the off the tee game. I agree that he's a good bet. I think that he's got great upside, could potentially be top 5, even win this. However, his downside would be missing the cut, which is, I think, equally likely, given the track record. So play at your own risk. I do like the guy overall, but yeah, he's probably not going to make many, if any, of my lineups.
Who you got down here then?
All right. So Cam Percy, who just got added to the field.
Yeah, Aaron Rye is officially withdrawn, so don't play Aaron Rye.
So Cam Percy over the last 36, excellent approach game. He's number 2 in the field, actually, over the last 36 for overall approach. Number 20 in the field for around the green game, and 22nd in the field from 175 to 200 yards approach. And then pretty much middle of the road on everything else, with the exception of off the tee. So off the tee is scary. He's 106 in the field, which, depending on how you look at that, is based off of a lot of driver play, or so you can definitely spin that to say, like, take the driver out of his hand, like we said about a couple other guys. Hopefully that number improves significantly based on some of the iron stats that you're looking at. So Cam Percy at 6,100, I think it's pretty damn good. I actually really do have a lot of interest in John Vanderlaan, who I already talked about.
Vanderlaan. I knew you were going to say Vanderlaan.
I mean, it's hard to dispute the stats on the guy. And then just coming off a T7 in Puerto Rico. And then you do a little bit of a deep dive into him and find out that, he's a Florida kid, went to school down there, is familiar with these courses, knows how to play in the conditions. And then you look at his track record in college. I mean, to me, if he was any more known, he'd be in the 7s. He definitely sets up better than this price tag. So I definitely think he's a viable option.
Yeah, and at 6,500, that's an amazing price for somebody with upside. Because I'm not really finding anybody in this range that I'm in love with. I mean, I'll throw some dimes at Tano Goya again, just to make the cut, because he's a good scorer when he makes the cut. It's not a top 10 threat by any stretch, but he's not there yet. But I love the guy's game. His short game is incredible. If he can get from the tee to the green or around the green, he'll do fine. But courses like this, the demand approach accuracy, his price is appropriate. And if you get a guy like that on the weekend, anything can happen. That's really what I'm all about with him and Nico, is just make the cut, score more points, and save people lots of money. Points per dollar will be at a premium if you can get him to the weekend.
And that's what I like. That's the upside with both Tano and Nico. Both they rate out super well in par 4 scoring, and there's a lot of par 4s on this course, and those are your scoring holes. The par 3s are hard. The par 5s are even harder, and there's more
nasty.
So the par 4 scoring prowess of both those guys, like that is something to consider. I do think that they are probably 60-40 in terms of whether they make the cut. But they're definitely some of the better players down in this region. So I'd say Tano, Nico, John Vanderlaan, and Cam Percy are probably my favorite ones. Got a lot of chatter about Yuan, just other industry guys, and he has been playing really well. But I think the last thing I want to do is play a chalk $6,300 player. I'll find value somewhere else. He's not going to win the tournament.
We are the 6K whisperers anyway. So if somebody else is saying a 6K guy and we didn't say that we like them, then they're not that good. And they're going to be too chalky because bigger names are saying their name, and you're going to get a weird $6,300 20% guy that isn't going to help you win at all. Not even a little bit.
We don't miss down here often, man. And there aren't a whole lot of people telling you John Vanderlaan. I guarantee you that.
Nope, and I'm looking at his profile right now, and I like what I see. So John Vanderlaan, whether you're real or not, I'm playing. He's an importer exporter.
He's my creative player in the new EA golf game.
All right. You have any parting shots for the crew? We do want to thank everybody for joining us. This is the 19th hole live on In Between Media. Make sure you sub to the whole page. Get the whole gang right there on your screen. I mean, we're just one of the great shows on this channel.
That's true. That's true. And for real, thanks to anybody who came out last week and supported us. That was one of our biggest weeks so far. So definitely thank you. And if you listen again this week, you got any questions, you can always hit me or Bo up. We're really, really accessible. So never hesitate to jump on and shoot the shit with us. And love talking golf.
Especially so. Connor. Connor likes random DMs in the middle of the night. Anytime. He's on call.
If Bo would just stop leading in with a heart in the subject line, that'd be helpful.
Hey, it gets your attention. All right, let's roll out here. Good luck, everybody, at the Valspar. We're gonna be painting more dollars. Is it printing, painting? I don't even know.
Either one works.